End of the World podcast, part 3. The first part is headlines. Headlines that we have not read the articles for, because that is how people in the real world behave. Should they behave like that? Probably not, but that's what they do. We welcome Vicky. Vicky is a professional television presenter who Joanne has demanded come here and show us amateurs what's what. That's what Vicky's doing. Vicky, you have been furnished with the headlines.
I have.
Could you tell the group what the first one is?
I'd love to. So, number 1. Calls to bring Margaret Thatcher back from the dead to fix train strike shenanigans. That is from the Daily Express.
Ah.
Do we know if she's been cryogenically frozen, Margaret Thatcher?
Like Walt Disney.
Like Walt Disney. But is that even true? I don't know. Where does the... Is that something I've just read in an article? And does that in itself prove your point?
He was beheaded
Yeah.
after death.
Not that wasn't his cause of death. He wasn't
because
dragged out.
They're like, oh, remember when Walt Disney got beheaded? And
Yeah.
you'd be like, uh-oh.
That'd be more of a conversation starter.
Yeah.
They froze his head because they said, look, forget about the body. It's all about the brain. Probably for storage as well, because if you're just freezing heads,
Yeah.
then you can
There's less. You can do more of
fit a
them.
lot more. So yeah, so he was frozen, but that was in like 1969, and
And he's still not back with us now.
No,
So
can't do it yet.
yeah.
I'd be worried that when they can do it, which I would suggest is another 100 years,
Yeah.
they would get him out of what would be a very old freezer at that point,
Yeah.
because you really wouldn't want to go spend
You're
very
not
much
going.
time.
You're not going to want to
moving.
unplug it, are you? Once it's in and
No.
it's running, and you've got Walt hooked up.
Got a better freezer
Walt
over there.
and Maggie.
Well,
Are they in the same freezer?
I didn't. You see,
Possibly not.
I thought Maggie got cremated.
Right.
I don't understand where these. I don't think, this is going out on a limb, I don't think these calls are realistic.
No.
I think as well that even if it were possible to reanimate Margaret Thatcher, she probably, even, I don't know, it's been 10 years, she probably wouldn't remember her political views, or it'd take a long time to come back. You know how someone's been in a coma.
She'd have the body of Margaret Thatcher in the mind of a child, a liberal child, which is exactly what they don't want.
They don't want that, because that would continue the shenanigans.
It'd be pointless. It'd be a pointless act.
So what was the headline again directly?
Calls to bring Margaret
Calls.
Thatcher back from the dead to fix train strike
Who are they
shenanigans.
calling?
Yeah.
So
Who's
Someone
calling?
has rung up a number,
Yeah.
and they've made a few assumptions before dialing
Yeah.
it. They've assumed.
Is it
Hello,
one
Maggie?
call or is it
Yeah.
lots of calls?
who do you call?
Yeah.
Walt's
And you just mind doing that. So you're assuming instantly
I'm
that
going
whoever's
back
making
to-
those
gone back in
calls,
time.
they've not updated.
I'm using the phones that were prevalent during Thatcherism
That's
with
clever.
my, and I think the person making those calls would probably be from that time as well, because they would say, Thatcherism, the 1980s, I loved it.
Peak.
If she hadn't been dead for 10 years,
We
none
wouldn't be in
of
the mess
this,
that we are now.
none of this train strike shenanigan,
Yeah.
or plural, would be going on.
Perhaps they've lost their heads a little bit. They're
Oh,
calling
yeah.
up. Who are they calling? They don't know. No one's on the other end. They're saying, Maggie,
Just
is that
lifting
you?
the receiver. It's not even
I'd
plugged
say at
in.
that
It's not
point,
plugged in.
at that point, the train strikes have won, haven't they? I think if you become so deranged due to the train striking action that you're trying to summon Margaret Thatcher from the dead
Yeah.
via a landline,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say you've lost the plot.
If you were that desperate, hire a hitman or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you just say, oh, just get them shot or whatever,
Hire a
It-
hitman to bring back Maggie.
No,
I
to
think
deal
that's-
with the train strikes. Just go around just shooting people.
But then there wouldn't be anyone to drive the trains, so the strikes would continue.
No, they probably no. I think
No?
you'd shoot union leaders. You wouldn't shoot train drivers, because they'd probably go along with it, like the intimidation factor.
Can the union leaders themselves not drive trains? Do they have a leg to stand on in any of this then? I think if you don't know how to drive a train, should you be wading in on this issue?
Should we be teaching kids to drive trains? Is that the solution?
Maybe.
Problem they've got is that nowadays there can just be a bloke on a computer who drives all the trains remotely, they're not happy about that because they still want people in the carriage to drive the trains for like customer safety, they say, but it's not really. It's more about maintaining power. And so they're like, right, we got to keep these people here for customer safety, but in reality, they're just buttons they can press. Because I mean, really, it's all on an electric track, isn't it?
They're just pressing buttons
Yeah.
inside the carriage,
Just
aren't
stop
they?
and go, I think.
Yeah.
Like, go.
Green.
Is go.
Mm-hmm.
Red is stop. These are the kind of things that a reanimated Margaret Thatcher would point out to them in quite an aggressive way.
Do you think?
So colourblind people can't drive trains either, can they? Because you always
I hope
colourblind
not.
kids get told that, can't they? That they can't fly planes,
Can't be
but
pilots, yeah.
driving trains as well. That should be reinforced
Trains,
to them.
planes,
It's terrible, 'cause they-
out.
Out.
They'd never remember, like, oh, the top one moves it and the bottom one stops it. Like,
If
they
you're
wouldn't be able
colourblind,
to. So they
sometimes.
go, look,
In the moment of panic,
Yeah.
you're going to forget which direction something's in. You're just
Apparently.
relying on colour. You're going on colour or adrenaline at that point.
they both look like brown,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to those people. And they're just like, what one was it? And, you know, with my logical brain, I would be like, if the train is going forwards, you can only press like go so many times. You keep pressing go, it doesn't get faster, does it? Like, go,
Well, does it?
go,
I mean, that's another. None of us know how to drive trains.
No,
Maybe it
no,
does get
I've never driven a
faster.
train.
If you're hitting go
You'd
repeatedly,
have
maybe
to-
it goes faster.
You have a
Just
lever, I
lever,
think.
yeah.
This is all speculation. I don't know.
I'm not sure if there's a lever.
Maybe we could ring someone up
Go.
and ask them if we could go inside. You know, the
They wouldn't let you, not when
No.
there's a strike on.
Not when the
'Cause they
strike's
would
on.
say,
What
"You
if we-
want- you want
You'd
to
have
I'll
to
go
dress
push
up
past
as
the picket
Maggie.
line.
I'll dress up as Maggie,
Yeah.
use my acting skills,
Mhm.
go
Do you-
it.
Do you have a Margaret Thatcher impression? No, you don't have one.
That's going to be a flaw in the plan, I think.
I think
You
like
could teach me.
she had a deep.
Very deep.
Dennis,
She worked at having quite a deep voice, didn't she? That was what
Dennis.
my
The
knowledge of.
lady's not for turning.
Yeah,
The
dress
lady's
you
not
up.
for turning.
yeah.
Hmm? With a wig,
Yes.
have a shave.
If you want.
The lady's not for turn.
We can find
The
out firsthand.
lady's not for dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not for reanimation,
The
though,
lady
she
is
either.
for
She hasn't been cremated.
reanimation.
Hmm?
No, I was just saying the lady is for reanimation.
Well, she
She's
would
not
if
if she's cremated. That's the.
you
Oh.
can't turn
That's the
powder
problem.
back into a person.
I don't think they're going to go for it.
What do these people
somehow.
want then? They've not thought that through, is what I'm
No,
thinking.
They want an end to train.
They want the end to the train strikes, don't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
And do we think that Margaret Thatcher would be able to do that? Could we bring her back?
I think
Hypothetically.
I think it would be just. I think the train strikes in that situation would pale into such insignificance because you would go, oh my god,
Hold on
She's
a
back
minute.
from the dead.
What
Not
is she
just
doing
her.
here?
Yeah.
How did she get here?
Mm-hmm.
She was but a bit of dust.
yeah. So we've not only it's better than Walt Disney because we've reanimated a cremated person. That is a far bigger story.
Do
Is-
we know if she was sorry?
No.
Do we know if she was scattered? Because that
Harder still.
exactly.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, do you think it possible? And I'm not one, for wild theories, but maybe they take a DNA sample of all the world leaders at a point where they become a world leader, just in case they have to claim them at some point. And again, I'm not one for wild conspiracy theories, but that is just something I have heard. So maybe you wouldn't even need to collect the scattered
You just
dust.
make a clone.
You've got that DNA on file.
But,
Yeah.
but then it's a question of nature versus nurture because
Yeah.
you would, first of all, to have any authority,
Yeah.
she'd need to be alive now.
Yeah.
She'd probably need to be.
You can't wait for a child to grow up, and then we'll be done with
I
trains
see
by the
what
time
you're
she's old
saying.
enough.
And I don't think you're born with like a strong political conviction. It's usually sort of based on like who you were around and who your
I
parents
think there
were.
would be people that argue that if anyone was, it would be her.
Yeah, she might power through it. Might be like, no, this is the
Same
way.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
That same
Monetarism.
DNA added up to tyrannical,
Power.
powerful.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What's the second headline?
The second headline is from The Guardian,
Oh,
and it reads, Conductor who allegedly slapped singer pulls out of all 2023 performances.
that's
See, when we said conductor, I assumed we were still on trains.
Still on
I
trains.
thought a railway conductor
yeah.
had slapped a busker, but I see now that I was wrong.
Yeah, conductor who
would be
allegedly
a
slapped singer.
Yeah,
So if that was a train conductor, that would be,
yeah. But then
That's
the
like-
And was it purposeful or was it like a?
well,
You know,
that's what we
slap.
don't know, do
Big
we?
Because
Big
they
move.
are quite
Was there any witnesses?
Gestural, is that a word?
It's a bit of an admission of. I don't want to say, but because we need to stick with the alleged things. I'm not getting sued for this, but it's a tiny bit of an admission of guilt. If you go, I'm not going to take part in anything. It's not really like if you hadn't done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless he's like, well, I'm not going to take part in anything then.
Yeah,
No?
it could be. Yeah, it could be
Could
like.
be that attitude.
Yeah, your loss.
Yeah, could be.
If you're gonna even think about tarring me with this brush,
Yeah.
I won't do any more.
I'm walking away from the tar factory.
But who's saying that he did it? Who's?
Well,
making the
probably
claim?
I would imagine
slappy.
the slapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, the slappy, the slapped. So the singer.
Slap
So
it.
it could be a vendetta where the singer went, oh, I hate that conductor. I hate him. I'm going to pretend he hit me.
We've also just assumed that the conductor is a he. Conductor could also be female.
Yeah, we've assumed.
Oh, that's true.
Just going to put that one out there.
Well, they are.
Before we
Yeah.
run
I
with
assume
that
the
one.
gender of both of them to be men, which is wrong of me. They could-
Yes.
I thought the singer was a woman.
Oh.
Singer, yeah.
If the conductor was a man and he punched a woman singer, that would be
Bad.
of the four potentials. That would be worst.
Yes.
If
Or the singer's a child.
that
Yes,
brings
that-
up
that's a whole new
so
level.
that's
Yeah.
6 potentials, isn't
If
it?
it's a little girl.
Right.
Mm.
So a male conductor punching
A small female child.
a little girl.
Well, it does
And
say
that-
slapped. That is
Okay.
that is
Okay.
actually what the headline
If you
says.
catch
When
the
does
ear,
when does a
though,
punch become
Become
a
a slap. Yeah, is it the fist?
if you
How
make a
much-
What's
little-
that? What are you calling that?
Yeah, exactly. What's
that's
that?
like Karate
Is that a
Kid,
punch? If
isn't
I
it?
think is that?
It's a jab.
That's like Karate Kid.
Is it?
Yeah.
We've got to imagine he's got a stick.
No, the
Oh,
way
yeah.
if
As
you're
well.
gonna
Battle.
if you're gonna
Baton.
slap
Thank
somebody,
you.
right? What you want to do is like
Cup
slightly
it.
cup you, because that creates a vacuum. You get them across the ear.
Definite.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's really bad. That's worse than a punch, really.
Yeah.
So, male conductor punches little girl is the worst. Now, a male conductor punching a little boy
Still not great.
is not
good.
is not as bad as punching a little girl.
No.
But where would you say punching a little boy versus punching a fully grown woman? What's worse?
I think little boy is worse.
Little boy
Yeah.
is
I
worse.
think so.
What about where's the cut? What if the boy's 15?
It's right on the cusp, isn't it?
Yeah, that could go either way.
Yeah,
When does a boy become a man?
We're getting into
60.
16.
Well, 50. Yeah, well that's why I pitched it at 15 because I wanted it to be interesting, and I think I nailed that. So 15-year-old boy, woman. 15-year-old boy
And
hitting
female
would be
conductor.
worse, but if a female conductor, okay.
How old's she?
How old is the conductor?
What's-
Because if she's
what's the-
really old.
Doesn't
Can you
matter.
get away with it?
What's the lifespan
Yeah.
of a conductor? Is it like a dancer where you actually end your career quite? Because you've got to
No,
be
I
so
don't-
in tune with what's going on around you, with your hearing.
They go on.
Got to have the hearing of a
Yeah,
bat.
I had
think
probably quite
hearing
good
lasts
arms.
quite a long time though, doesn't it? Hearing?
I've seen some grey conductors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In your
You know,
time.
I think
Interesting, because you've got a whole orchestra right at you, and some of them can
Oh, you probably
they
have
can really get up the
commanding
decibels, can't they?
presence.
definitely. You should wear earplugs for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, there's no question.
No question about that.
Female
Absolutely not.
conductor. It is another thing. Female conductor. Is it worse if she slaps a little girl than a little boy?
Worse than if a male conductor.
Yeah. I mean, is it switching over? Is that worse, or is it always worse to slap
Hang
a
on,
little
if
girl?
it's, what you're saying here, so a male conductor slaps little boy or female conductor slaps little girl, which one's worse? Is that what you're saying?
No. We know
Oh,
what's.
sorry.
Oh, it's obvious what's. No. It's much worse if the male conductor slaps a little girl. I'm saying is a female
Yeah.
conductor slapping a little boy worse than slapping a little girl? Because we've established what it's like if it were a male conductor.
I think they're on par.
Yeah, I think slapping any child, male, female, or whatever their gender may be, is not going to go down that well.
Yeah.
No.
If they're a minor, slap
Yeah.
in the face, that's a bad.
I thought we were going back to Maggie
Yeah.
Thatcher.
Sorry, yeah, no, just to be clear. Conductor
do
of a
weirdly
of a
relate.
orchestra, not a train. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
I-
overlap.
I just think that this conductor has said, I'm not doing any more concerts. Now they've either done that in that kind of, oh well, I'm not doing any more concerts then, like like the kid who brings the football to school.
That's quite a childish act in itself,
Yeah.
isn't it? Maybe it was the
we won't
conductor
play
who was a
anymore
child.
then. Yeah.
That would explain the
Conductor
unruly
was a
behaviour.
child
Yeah.
who
Slapped.
slapped a grown man
Yeah.
across
And
like
the
thigh.
child they are has pulled out of all the subsequent gigs when
Yeah.
they got busted.
Why is that in The Guardian? What's the next headline?
The last headline is from The Times. Nuclear weapons tests blamed for radioactive European ball.
What kind of ball? Like a boring person or a...
I was imagining a football. I'm
Ball.
imagining sort of just a glowing...
Yeah, you're saying ball?
Ball. B-O-A-R.
Like a pig?
Oh.
Like a pig.
Oh,
Ball.
wow.
Radioactive
Ball.
pigs.
Oh, cool. What?
Radioactive European ball.
Wow.
Amazing. What are they doing?
And a ball sounds like that could be used in the plural as well as singular in that case. Like a lot
Yeah,
of
it's
ball.
not just one
Like you
ball.
could have a
that's
load,
made
herd
load
of
of ball.
ball.
Yeah, exactly.
ball?
A herd of ball. I'd buy it.
A murder of ball.
A murder of ball.
Well, that's what crows
What,
are, aren't
yeah.
they? Yeah,
Murder
a
of
pride of
crows.
ball. I don't know, but
A flock of ball.
What are pigs? What do you say about
Flying
pigs? What of pig?
sty. No, that's where they live there. It doesn't
no.
really count. I
A
should know
group?
that.
A group of
mess?
pigs.
A mess of pigs.
That would
Sounds
be
quite
good.
That
convincing,
works.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
A mess
what
of
it should be.
balls.
Radiation of ball?
Radioactive ball, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like
Yeah, but
one
yeah,
ball.
it
It's like
was-
lots of ball.
It sounds like lots of ball.
So
But then
we've
they would say
what if-
balls, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
You would have thought.
So hang on.
So what's happened?
So we will
Sorry, yeah.
Nuclear weapons tests blamed for radioactive European ball.
right.
What's European about them? Do you think the way
Well,
they...
They live in Europe.
Oh, okay.
Got small
thinking like
berets
accent.
and accents.
Definitely don't speak
Because
English.
do cows have
French.
different accents? Is that something I've seen people say that cows moo in different ways?
Surely
Yeah, they
animals
do.
all have
They
accents.
say that dogs
Yeah.
do, for sure.
Do they? Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched a video with a scouse cat. It was like
Meow.
"Nyeh,
Yeah.
nyeh," like that,
Yeah.
and everyone would say that's a scouse cat.
Yeah.
But it was in America, so I don't know how.
Oh wow.
Don't know how it did that. It wasn't like it was in Liverpool, but it was like sounded like a scouse.
Interesting.
Definitely. Radioactive ball, many of them, nuclear testing. Now, I don't think there's been any like nuclear tests in
Well, that's what they
in
want you to
Europe.
think, isn't it? That's ideally they don't want you to know about the nuclear testing. But if this
Difficult to
ball,
hide.
singular or plural, has got out and they're radioactive, what else? What else do you surmise? It's got to come down to that, hasn't it?
Difficult to hide nuclear testing because it's quite like, whoa.
I've watched Oppenheimer. It's loud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and those were like the little ones. If they
Yeah.
do it now, you'd be like, whoa.
And
Yeah.
why just the boar? If you do a nuclear test, you're only getting boar?
Yeah,
No,
surprising,
come on.
isn't it?
Come on.
There were other animals there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do they? Well, I know we haven't seen the article. There's no mention of like, have they like acquired superpowers or anything?
I assume so.
Why is it a problem?
Yeah.
Like if you ate
If they're
them,
baddies, it's probably...
you'd become radioactive.
Yeah. If they're bad pigs with bad intentions.
Yeah.
And that you can get them. You can get bad pigs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they run at people. Apparently, a boar or that style of pig is, if it weren't so greedy, is the most built for speed animal.
No.
Really, really quick.
So low to the ground.
If you get a slim one, yeah. But those feet go like.
More than like a cheetah.
Well, apparently they're just like built for speed. If they were the same size as a cheetah, they'd be a problem for a cheetah. I think with cheetahs as well, if you want to avoid them, you just kind of change direction a lot.
Step to the side.
If you've ever watched a cheetah like chasing an antelope, there's no slouch. I mean, they're not slow antelopes, obviously.
No.
But they just kind of change direction, and the cheetah always overshoots and goes, turns around and has to come back. They're almost too fast for their own good.
Yeah. They don't know what their
Don't know
paws are
where they're
doing.
going.
If they took the edge off, if they go, do you know what, I'm just going to do like 75%,
Yeah.
they'd probably just catch the thing all the time.
Way too excited. Too hungry.
Yeah, this is it. So,
So, just back to this. So, who do you think's doing the blaming? Is it the Times doing the blaming?
the Times are
Read
blaming.
the thing one more. What it says.
Who's blaming?
Nuclear weapons tests blamed for
Oh,
radioactive European ball.
Someone's been casting some blame. And
Yeah,
who is it?
so
And
who's
why?
doing that?
Yeah.
Is it the Europeans, presumably not.
Who's woken up and gone, what are all these radioactive boar doing here, and who can I blame
Whose
for
fault
it?
was
Who
it?
found the
Who's been
radioactive
affected by
boar?
that?
Did they do the
European
finding?
farmers?
I don't. Do you know what? I don't really think it matters. For one, I don't think any of the European boar are in this country because we've got sea in the way.
Yeah.
So immediately I'm like, I don't really care that
Yeah.
much now.
Unless they're so radioactive that their little feet are running
They
on
can
water.
swim.
Depends what
They
the
can
powers
swim
are.
now.
Depends
Maybe
what
they
the
can
powers
swim
are.
now.
Yeah,
Pigs can swim.
they can. I've seen the videos.
Yeah, they do that. But
And with the added nuclear power, I only imagine they can swim quicker. They're not going to swim slower, are they?
okay,
No.
that could be a
Radioactive.
problem then. What we need to do is get like the army on Dover, like Dover Castle.
Yeah.
It's all bored out. It's all bored out. Under the castle, they've got all the tunnels that they used in the Second World War. So you'd keep the army there, and when they see the pigs coming, open fire.
Obliterate them.
Got
Don't let
cannons
them
on
get
that.
anywhere close. Yeah.
And then, we're okay. But we're assuming that the pigs are that interested in
Want to come
coming here, really. But it's a fascinating story for the times, and I think,
As in for the time that we live in,
yeah.
or the Times is reported
Both.
on it. Okay.
I like to kind of, if I can make a statement that means two things at once,
Yeah.
that's my favourite kind of statement.
Great.
3 is maybe too much. All right, well, those are the headlines. We're going to hit you with some in-between bit excitement. So 3, 2, 1, go!
Learn to kill at the Precipice Sauna and Firing Range. Aren't people unreasonable nowadays? With their opinions that you only 75% agree with? Like it or not, the future is always coming. If you aren't prepared to fight, then prepare to die! There will be no friends after the climate apocalypse, and it will be hot. Call now! To do otherwise is just delayed suicide!
Did you enjoy that? That was good, wasn't it? We're back again. And what I want to discuss in this part, it's called, this section is called Late to the Party. And my thinking behind that is we discussed something that was really annoying people 2 weeks ago, and we just see if we can get a bit more mileage out of it. And I fancy that we can. Now, the interesting thing is, different people get bombarded with different things. So 1 or 2 people here might not have heard anything about this, and others may have done. It kind of ties in with some of the stuff going on over in old Hollywood town right now with all of its strikes and things. And it's to do with Snow White. So if you've watched any videos on Snow White recently, you'll probably know what I'm on about, whereby they have the actress who played Snow White had a bunch of videos dug up from about a year ago where she said how much she dislikes the original Snow White, which is unfortunate for Disney because she is the new Snow White, to be going on about how creepy the old one is, particularly as they want to release that on 4K at the same time. Little bit messy. She's come across as a tiny bit, well, quite a large bit charmless about the whole thing. And really the question that I want to posit at this very important point in culture is, what is Hollywood for? To my mind, it's about making money. That's why it exists. You could say, hey, what about the artistic aspects? But the artistic aspects of Hollywood only exist if you're making money. So
they almost exist by accident, don't they? Because it's so, if people get to do something artistic, great. And it's made money as well, lovely. But that it's almost like it happens by accident.
yeah, I mean, what we need to get back to, I think, if anybody sort of ends up going back to work, is a position where people start making things that the public want to watch, And from a base level of, oh, this film's quite good, you go, oh, I know how to make it better. But I think the problem they've got at the moment is this sort of Snow White situation is kind of symptomatic of that, where you have a situation where they've been making films for a number of years now that lose money, and you're going on strike in a position of financial weakness. If they'd gone on strike 5 years ago, that wouldn't include the AI stuff that they're worried about now, but it would include everything else that they're complaining about, which is we're not getting paid effectively for streaming, right? Mm-hmm. And in those days, they could at least say, oh, look, we're making money. So they're making money, the streaming services are making money, let's have some of that. But now that we've had a bunch of years where everything that's coming out loses about $100 million, to then want more money, it's perfectly reasonable to want it, but I just think it's going to be harder.
You think they should have done it during the pandemic? You think they should have gone gun to the head, you're stuck indoors, what have you got to watch? Guess what? Nothing's been made. You're going to go mad.
I think they should have done it before.
Yeah.
I think they should have done it when you had just like Amazon Prime and you had Netflix just kind of ruling the roost, making a ton of money, growing exponentially, just going up and up and up.
I swear there's a new streaming service every week.
Yeah.
Every week there's a new streaming service. It's too many.
But that's the thing, isn't it? They're only striking now because it's become so big in the past few years, especially since COVID. People have suddenly gone, oh God, there is actually a lot of streaming services.
Yeah, but
out.
each individual company is that much weaker because the market's got so saturated that they've gone. You've got kind of 5 or 6 companies fighting for over the same kind of scraps because the public is, maybe spending a bit more on streaming than they were 5 years ago in aggregate, but because they're spread more thinly over each service. So, for example, I don't know when it was, about a year ago, 18 months ago, they moved into a situation where you could only get each episode of a thing like every week. Before that, they'd release like the whole season in one go, and you could just kind of
bundle and you'd binge it, wouldn't you? You'd binge it.
But then they said, oh, we can't do that because we need people to stick around for next month and the month after and the month after that, because people had the ability, if they binged it, they could just go, well, that's the only thing I want to see. I'll wait for that to come out. I'll pay for a month of that, get all the way through it, cancel. They needed people to stick around and stop kind of signing up for the other stuff. So they're now in a position where everything they're doing is kind of losing money.
It's futile in a way. Do you know what I reckon? That I think, weirdly, piracy might be the answer.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Everyone pirates everything. You bring down the streaming services, everything goes back into Hollywood. Weirdly, the thing that got us into this mess could get us out of this mess. It kind of comes
pirates
around.
Pirates.
That is an interesting one. Yes, if we wanted to engineer a situation whereby just you went back to the old system, then you would have to find ways of kind of killing off streaming altogether. But I'm a bit concerned that probably you're
not going to get old people torrenting stuff, are you? That's the issue. You're not going to. My nan, very happy to get plugged into Netflix. She's not going to go on Pirate Bay and be searching torrent codes to download. You've got to make that easier.
But what they are stopping is doing the Netflix double household thing. They're stopping that. So she might have to be.
So my nan's. I've got to teach her how to pirate
piracy.
stuff, whether she likes it or not.
Because if she can't get on your Netflix, she doesn't want to pay for it.
Yeah, and she won't. I know what my nan's like. She's tight. Yeah. She's not going to do it.
Problem you've got is that people get older, and that's such a big problem.
Just people getting older in general.
Just people getting older in general is a really big problem. If we could end that somehow.
Eradicate.
They did it in a film, Logan's Run. Did you ever see Logan's Run? They killed
Yeah.
everyone after 30.
I think that's one of the things why I know the parody better than I know than the actual thing. I think I've seen an episode of Family Guy and
About
now go,
Logan's Run.
yes, I know Logan's Run, but
Yeah.
no, to answer your question.
No, okay. Well, so Logan's Run, they killed everybody when they turned 30.
Right.
And they
Wow.
tried to
Oh,
stop
dear.
people running, because the
Yeah.
running part of Logan's Run was people who would get close to their 30th birthday and try to leave the city rather than be killed.
And what was the Logan part? Was Logan the main
There's
guy?
a guy called Logan.
Right, and it was his run out of the city.
And what they did to him, I'm basing this on the 70s film rather than the book.
Yeah.
What they did to him, he was about 23 and was kind of important. He would go after runners, and they said, we want you to go undercover to find the network of people running. And they said, so what we're going to do is we're going to pretend you're 29,
Oh, wow.
and that way you can get in with them, because they're not going to talk to you if you're 23.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, okay. And then he was like, and as they're doing it to him, they're, yeah, and when I've succeeded, I'll be turned back. I just don't say anything.
Oh.
And he realises that they're not going to switch him back. So he then goes, then it's Logan.
Well, that's foolish. They should have lied at least, shouldn't they? Because now he's never going to come back with the right info. That's foolish that they said nothing.
I don't know.
Because they're going, guys, and they're going,
When you say turned him 29, as in like they aged him?
No, well, it's almost like he's on file as being a certain age.
Got you.
You see, and you had to wear
His
different.
ID.
You had to wear different coloured clothes, depending on how old you were.
oh,
Right.
God.
So if you were sort of early 20s, you wore green, and then as you got close to 30, you had to wear red clothes.
Ooh.
You see, so it was like, so you could just see, you just glance at somebody
Yeah.
by their colour choice and go, oh, that's how old they
Close
are.
to death.
You know,
I'm going to have to interject here. We're
yeah.
doing that thing
Oh,
off. Slight tangent.
yeah,
We're
okay.
gonna
Logan's Run.
bring it back
old
to Disney.
people.
If you can relate Logan's Run to Disney somehow,
A Disney
is it going to
remake?
come back?
A
A
If
Disney
you did-
remake of Logan's
A
Run?
cartoon version.
Are they going to
Yeah.
do it?
What would they?
They are
A musical.
remaking everything.
Yeah.
A musical live action.
So
Not live action.
Well, it was
oh,
live
they could do it with
action.
animals.
They could do Logan's Run with animals.
Yeah.
Most animals are dead by 30.
Okay, yeah.
I think horses can get to 35.
Mainly tortoises then. We could get some tortoises in.
That's
They're a
quite
hazard.
Cute. They're
They hang
cute
around for
when
ages.
they're animated.
Yeah. Not real, obviously, because
No.
real tortoises are a bit gross. But
Okay.
animated, crucially,
Yeah,
sort of all right.
Yeah, big eyes.
and you would have to have other animals in it that die too soon, and they're like, what's the problem with 30? That's really old.
Yeah.
And then they like die out, and they go, well, you wouldn't know, would you? 'Cause you
Unless you're just working it out in animal years to begin with, so it's dog years. And
Oh,
then
God,
you go,
right.
you know,
Then
Oh,
it's
they
only
did it with dogs.
Yeah.
5 or 6.
Would
Isn't
be
it?
bad,
6,
wouldn't
is
it?
it? 5, 7 dogs.
Well, you add 7 onto a dog year, and that's the real age that they are.
I think
Isn't
Logan
it
has
7
a
every-
dog name too.
so
7, 14.
One-
No, it's
Yeah.
like 7
One-
years. You don't just add 7 because
Oh,
otherwise
you
they get
ti-
to like they
I-
could still get to like 85, couldn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah,
Just be like an old dog.
yeah,
7, 14. You know how the times table works.
yeah.
An old dog is 11, which would be 77.
Yeah, okay.
So you'd have to kill dogs.
4.5. 4.5.
Yeah, about
I
4,
just don't think people are going to go for it.
just after their 4th
I
birthday.
don't think they're going
I
to
think
go
that
for
would
it.
change the world.
You had to
Make
kill
that
dogs
film.
at 4.
I don't
If you
think
made a
people are going to
film
like
about
killing
it.
dogs. I think that's going to cause some controversy.
But this is why Disney loses money, because
Yeah.
we're coming up with outlandish ideas for Disney things. But if the people from Disney were hearing us now, or potentially watch this podcast, they would go, "Those are good ideas. Yeah, maybe we'll make the dog."
That's it.
killing
There's
thing."
just a dry well of ideas at the moment,
Yeah.
isn't there? Which is that is ultimately why we are watching Snow White for the second time
Yeah.
in live action. No one wants to be there. She doesn't want to be
She
there.
doesn't want to be there.
Clearly.
Peter
She
Dinklage
doesn't
has
want-
spoken
Yeah.
out and said that
Well, there isn't
the
any
smaller
dwarfs
people
in,
shouldn't
in
be
the,
there.
Yeah.
It's not even Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. It's just Snow
It's just
White.
Snow White. So
Snow
they
White,
cut them.
Yeah.
Snow
They've
White
cut
and the
that.
7 Magical People.
So they're making a
Oh.
film that no one wants to be there,
No.
including the lead actor.
I heard
And they
something
could be-
about the fairest of them all. Did you hear the thing about that? It might be lies, could be lies.
What
But
was
they said, you know how in Snow White there's
Got the
mirror,
mirror.
mirror on the wall,
Yeah.
who is the fairest of them all?
Yeah,
And by that they mean beauty,
yeah.
right? But they've changed that because nobody's
not
nobody's
allowed
allowed
to
to
be
be
beautiful.
beautiful, even though the people they've cast are.
Mm.
Nobody's allowed to be. So they changed it to the fairest, as in like fair. like how nice and fair you are about things.
Oh, how even you are, like how
Yeah,
like,
like-
you're not going to cheat at a game of
No.
Monopoly or something.
So basically, what
So
that
how boring are you really?
How
as well?
boring are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's a nice thing to be. It's a nice thing to be, but that means that the Wicked Queen
Yeah.
is then the second fairest person in the world. In which case, she'd be like, "Oh wow, that Snow White must be lovely because I'm pretty high bar," and she wouldn't be a
She's
wicked
pretty
queen.
decent
No,
about, apart
she'd
from
be-
the one crucial factor that she wants to kill her stepdaughter, and that is letting her down, and that in itself is letting her.
Maybe that's the only reason
second
she is
least.
unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfair though. Everything else you do is really wonderful.
It's really wonderful, and you just want to kill your stepchild.
but that thing.
yeah.
yeah, and that's the only
that's knocking you off your pedestal.
Maybe if the mirror told her that,
Yeah.
said,
She'd
yeah,
have a
don't
rethink.
do that, and then it's a tie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But maybe a tie is like not good enough for her ego. What she needs to do instead of killing Snow White is trick her into doing something a bit unfair,
Yeah.
and then you take the lead. Oh, remember she did that, and then
Yeah.
you take the lead again. But again, that isn't really something a fair person would do. My problem with it is it stops the Wicked Queen really being wicked, because until the plot to kill Snow White, be like, what do you think? What do you think of the Queen? She's lovely.
Yeah, they might change wicked to mean like wicked.
Oh, she's
Yeah,
The
she's
wicked
great.
Queen.
She's great. She's really
Yeah, they
cool.
might,
She's
yeah.
pretty
She's awesome.
fair.
Yeah.
very fair.
She-
Very fair.
very
Because
fair.
she's the second.
Second
In the world.
fairest.
What are
But
you
then
going
at
to do?
this point, are we even going on the plot of Snow White? They might as well just make a new film.
That's a new film.
Well, that we've
Might as well
just
just
made
stop.
it for them.
Doing the remake.
If someone from Disney was watching this, they'd be at the piano writing the opening number
Yeah.
to this film.
Yeah, the fairest of them. Everybody's really nice.
Yeah.
Everybody's really nice. This is a song
honest
about
and,
nice
you know.
people.
What could you do to entrap her? You could have her work in a coffee shop, and you could have people just keep on going, "Oh, keep the change," and then she's like, "Oh, I've got a taste for this now,"
Yeah.
She
and then she
keeps that
starts.
change.
Yeah, she does. She withholds change.
Then she becomes a pickpocket, and
Yeah.
then it
And then
becomes
she's
the plot of
unfair.
Oliver.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sort of a fusion there.
There aren't any original. That is the problem, isn't it? Apparently, there are no
No
original
original.
stories left.
No. One of the complaints also that I've heard about this one is that she doesn't really, and this is the problem they have across the board, is like there's no character development. So she just kind of shows up.
Yeah.
She's not interested in like the bloke,
Yeah.
because she said in herself in the thing that she considered the prince to just be a stalker.
Am I right in thinking he's not called Prince Charming? He's just called
The prince.
Jonathan or something.
Oh,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Have I
he's
heard
like-
of that? So
you
that's the
know,
thing.
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Wow.
No Prince Charming. He's cut.
Yeah, and she threatened to cut, like she said, like I think she was joking, but it's hard to tell with her. She was kind of threatening to cut his, even though she doesn't have the power to do it. She was like, oh yeah, maybe his scene should be cut, and that upset the director as well.
That is, and also the actor. That's not very nice to that actor.
No, it isn't really. But she really apparently hates the idea of there being any romance in
Would you
Snow
would you
White.
have stood for that on any of your sets back in the day? I don't think so. If someone was sort of like going out to the media,
No.
and you know when we did the
No.
tours of like you know the Asian markets did pick up we did go over there.
Yeah.
If any of the actors had come with and been like, oh yeah, this is happening, this is calling the shots,
Oh, this is rubbish.
you would have been on them.
I'd have been on them.
Yeah,
I'd have been on top of them.
yeah,
Yeah, and not in a bad way, but in a
Okay.
way that made them rethink.
yeah.
Because you can't have it. I don't think they're going to end up releasing this stuff. I think they're too far in the hole. So they spent $200 million. How much of that made it to the screen and how much of it made into somebody's pocket? But they spent $200 million supposedly making this thing. They haven't even started the junket. They sabotaged the thing. They'd have to spend another 150 on the press junket prior to release, whenever that is. They keep pushing it deeper and deeper into 2024.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to want to watch it
No.
because they haven't understood fundamentally what the character is.
I suspect development hell, isn't it? That's the expression I use. Oh, you Snow White, all that's been stuck in development hell, and you're like, has it? Has it really?
But it's beyond that because they've shot the bloody thing.
Yeah.
So it's like post
Hell.
hell.
Yeah.
It's like what happens after hell?
Yeah.
I don't know. I suppose
Ask the guys working on Snow
Back
White.
to-
Do you know what I
back to
mean?
heaven.
you come back to life, but as something not as good, like a spider or something like that.
Yeah.
The point is, they are having a bit of a disaster. This girl,
She's thrown fuel on the fire. She's made it a bigger disaster.
She's made it a real disaster. You see, I know I've met actresses. I've met hundreds of actresses, and if you'd said to them, "Do you want to be Snow White in a Disney film? We'll pay you $5 million. We're not going to give you any money for the streaming." She was complaining about that as well.
Right.
We're not going to give you any money for the stream, but we are going to give you $5 million. And like, you know, if something else happens, we'll give you a little bit more. $5 million. You're Snow White. Do you want to do it? No, I hate Snow White. Well, or what she did, yes, and then sign everything and film the thing. You go, I hate Snow White.
Odd.
Yeah, she hasn't done herself any
I
favours
would've
there,
done.
has
She should have gone
Who'd have
after. She shouldn't have gone after the streaming. She should have gone after the action figure rights.
Yeah.
I think that's where what she should have chased.
Yeah.
That's famously Alec Guinness in Star Wars, isn't it? He got
Yeah, he
rights
got
to all the toys, and that's
cut of the toys.
he's rolling in it. You know, regardless of the paycheck in the film.
way more than he got paid
Yeah.
for the film. And definitely a Snow White action figure.
Oh yeah,
You can imagine that, just with like a gun or,
yeah.
you know, like a
Different
movement.
outfits, different outfit for every day of the
Steak or
week.
something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, apparently by the sounds of this one, there's no love in her.
Yeah,
So she would probably kill things.
Maybe it would be like her like this. That would be the action.
Like
Yeah.
angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no before and after. She comes in angry and she leaves angry.
and she leaves angry.
And we just go,
Starts
oh,
angry.
I
ends
really
angry.
like Snow White
Yeah.
because
She's fair.
she's very fair.
Angry and fair. It's a more relatable character already,
Yeah.
really.
Fair like an executioner. Like, yes,
justice.
everybody's getting executed.
Yeah,
All of you.
yeah.
Yeah.
What?
That's the only way.
my crime wasn't so bad. No, I've
No.
got to be fair to everyone. You're all dead.
Mm-hmm.
Have we just worked our way back to Logan's Run again? Because it sort of sounds like that this is the Snow White is
Come
now the
full
figure going
circle.
around killing the people when they turn 30. That's what it sort of sounds like to
Yeah,
me.
Snow White.
Mm.
Snow
Snow
White
White's
and the
run.
beheaded magical people, the
Yeah.
7 beheaded magical people. In brackets, why were they beheaded? Because Snow White killed them all.
Yeah.
Because
She was
that's
fair.
kind of fair girl.
She's fair,
She
but
is.
she's not wicked.
But she isn't wicked.
Yeah. Well, you can't leave one alive, can you? Because that would be unfair.
Exactly, you have to kill
You've gotta
everything.
If once
have
you
to
kill
kill
one,
everything.
you've got to kill all of them.
No, there's no like, oh, I killed 6 of them, but I didn't mind this one.
No.
You can't be like that.
Favouritism.
You have to get on with it.
Mm.
Cut your way through. Slay, as the kids say.
Yeah.
So is there a solution for Disney? Like, what are they going to do? They seem to just be going down
well,
at the minute.
They can't afford to lose $100 million
no.
every time they put something out. I think my solution would be probably fire the board, which won't happen because turkeys don't vote for Christmas. I wouldn't release this thing because you're just going to throw another 150 million. You'll probably end up blowing 400 million and getting about 50 back because it's so toxic now. I would probably just pretend the last 10 years never happened. I'd get good writers in, yeah, because they must still exist somewhere.
They must.
They must somewhere.
Surely.
I'll do it. A million. If you give me $1 million, I will write something for you, and the public will love it. I'll tell you why they'll love it. They'll love it because character development, likable character. So she's going to come in, and she'll be likable off the bat. You'll be like, oh, she's nice, but she's a bit naive. And over the course of the film, she retains the niceness to make her likable, but she learns something. End of the film.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, standing ovation.
wow.
We make it for 50 million because I don't cream any money off, and I don't allow anyone else to either.
Mm-hmm.
So we make it for 50, and $1 billion, 1.2 billion comes in, and that's
Wow.
only because of the overhang of people not really trusting Disney anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, yeah, I can't do it all, guys. It's going to take another sequel or whatever for me to really kind of overcome that. Yeah, so we make $1.15 billion, and we solve like the last kind of 3 or 4 years of losses. They make me chief executive.
Can I audition?
Maybe. They make me chief executive, and I then decide what goes on in the parks. I decide what films we put out, and by 2050, when the world is net zero and I'm thinking about retirement, Disney is bigger than Apple. Yeah, it's like a big Apple. Like
Could even
New
own it,
York.
because, you know, Disney and Fox, people thought that wasn't going to, and now House of Mouse just consumed it. Disney could eat Apple as well. It could have it all. Be one.
Own everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, not because of me. So that's how we do it. Likeable characters, character development in the course of a film. It's a bit like teaching 4-year-olds to tie their shoelaces, but for some reason we've got into a position where we have to be like that. Sorry, you screwed it up. Right, it's time for another break, so that's what's going to happen. Stick around. I'm not begging you.
Do you ever find yourself worrying about your family's future? Are you concerned you won't be able to afford to retire? At Knife Edge Capital, our risky investing probably won't help, but there's a slim chance it might. Give us all your money today and find out. Face it, you're probably screwed either way. Knife Edge Capital and its investments are not regulated. Your money is at risk. Like, really.
So if you've been paying attention, you'll know that I have a co-host this evening. My agent's idea, not mine, but she's doing all right. And Vicky's going to take you through part 3 of what we're going to do. Go ahead, Vicky.
Okay,
Victoria.
So, just Vicky, it's fine, thank you. So our next part is to do with something that we touched on actually the last time we spoke, which is climate change, or climate boiling, as we now have to call it, because it's got that bad, apparently.
Yeah.
But what is climate boiling? Should we be worried about it? Are there things more dangerous that we should be worried about than climate boiling? Which I think probably the answer is yes. I think we're thinking too much about climate boiling when we should be maybe worried about other things killing us first.
They do say, don't they, a watched pot never boils. So it might be the more that we think about it, it just won't happen.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's sort of the philosophy that I
like
live
that.
by. I don't even recycle all the time, to be honest.
No,
Do
it's
you
no
not?
point.
It's,
Do you
yeah.
not?
I think until I see conclusive proof that, I just think, why bother?
Do you know what they do? Do you know what they do with the plastic?
What's that?
We probably can't. We're going to get this. They'll never let us get this out. This bit will be muted. It'll be muted anyway. It'll be muted anyway.
Right.
But we may as well. We're having a conversation. We may as well say it. So right, 95% of the plastic doesn't get recycled.
Yeah.
What do they do with it? And everybody goes, oh, well, what happens? But I put it in the thing, and
Yeah,
it goes
yeah.
off to the thing. Now what they do is they just burn it. They burn it, and then when you say to people, oh, they burn 95% of the plastic, that must be terrible for the atmosphere. You know, it isn't, because what they do is they burn it in a great big tower and they pour water on the smoke. So the smoke never goes into the atmosphere from the burning. They just end up with the kind of ex-plastic sort of ashes, because they can't
Well, what do they do with that?
recycle it. What do they do with that?
Guess
Well, it
the
isn't really
ashes.
plastic anymore. It's just ash.
Sand.
And then they just, I don't know, they plant trees with it, like in it.
They plant trees in the plastic ash.
Yeah. I mean, they just sort of, create
Yeah.
a garden.
Trees are quite adaptable, though, aren't they? I think a lot of trees. I think people don't give trees enough credit.
No,
I
trees
think-
can
I
do
think-
amazing things.
I've had a cactus I've not watered for 3 years, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So, and I know that is specifically a cactus that's meant
Yeah,
for
they don't
harsh
get
conditions,
Mm.
but I think,
A bit of rain will just.
Yeah.
A cactus in England is more than nourished.
yeah.
But could that be something that potentially would kill us if the trees were kind of growing from this plastic? Would that affect?
I've touched on this actually in a previous video. I touched on the idea that we don't know that trees aren't trying to kill us.
Yeah.
Problem is they're so slow that they're ineffective.
Do you mean like branches sort of growing to a point where they
would.
just
If you
envelop?
just stood there for 6 months,
That's true,
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
it would
they might.
eventually absorb you.
Yeah.
Is
But-
that like that thing that glass is actually a liquid, and if you land on it long enough, you move through it? Is that similar?
Oh yeah, it could be.
I don't know.
Yeah, so if glass has a viscosity,
Yeah, it's just a
of,
really viscous liquid.
yeah.
And trees are actually,
pitch. Have you heard of you've heard of pitch, black stuff? Yeah, that they make like asphalt with.
Oh yeah.
Right, pitch black. That's where pitch black comes from. Right, that is actually a liquid. Okay, and they do an experiment where they've been pouring it through like a funnel.
Yeah.
Into like a conical flask.
Yeah.
And the experiment's gone on for 80 years, and every 10 years it drips.
So 80-year experiments, they've just been tagging scientists in and out.
Yeah.
It's
Then
been
Wow.
8 drips.
Well,
Yeah,
this whole
when it gets
experiment.
really, really hot, tarmac roads do get sticky, don't they? They
That's
turn
right.
into a liquid.
Yeah, well they are a liquid. They're always
so
a
they're
liquid,
always a
but they're
liquid.
so close to solid that we don't really, because they're not like sloshing around. It's just it's like really thick. Like honey. Like honey can get really thick.
Yeah.
But if you imagine something
Congealed.
that's much thicker than that, imagine like 100 times thicker than honey. Can you imagine 100 times thicker than honey?
You can,
Yeah.
because tarmac, there you go.
Yeah.
You
You
thought
probably
of
I
it.
just
couldn't
sort of
even
think of
really-
a road.
Couldn't even dig into it.
Yeah.
You could drive on it.
That means we're all a bit like Jesus, because we're all walking on water and driving on water.
Okay.
Not
He
water,
he
but
wasn't as special
liquid.
as he thought he was.
No.
'Cause
Yeah.
maybe it was just a
And
really
somebody
viscous...
needs to tell him.
If they'd said to him, walk on liquid, he'd have gone, all right, just like
All right.
walk down the road.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, well, what's that? And
It's not
he'd
even-
explain to them, you don't understand viscosity because it's the year 28. Because I know it's the year 28 because I'm 28 and the years are like numbered after how old I am.
Okay.
So he'd be telling them that as well.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh God, what, really? It's all...
Yeah, he'd be having to... Oh, and by the way, the reason that it's the year 28, I'm 28.
I'm 28.
Idiots.
You're
It's-
28.
It's after me. Not me.
Oh.
Jesus.
Okay.
Jesus will be... No, because Jesus was dead. Well, he wasn't... He'd been crucified by the time he was my age.
Okay.
And he'd gone back up to heaven.
Was he part of the 27 Club?
No, I think he was 30.
Was he?
That's what
Okay.
that's
Missed
what they
out.
say.
Missed out on that
Yeah.
accolade.
He would have.
That'd
Well, he
been
would have been the
The
originator.
original.
I would have thought.
Yeah.
The OG
Original.
27 now.
27. Who was in the 27?
River
Jimi
Phoenix.
Hendrix?
Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison.
River Phoenix.
Kurt Cobain?
River Phoenix was he as old as that? I thought he was younger.
I
Kurt
thought
Cobain,
so.
yeah.
Oh, maybe
Kurt
I'm
Cobain.
wrong. Maybe he
I
wasn't.
think River
Winehouse?
Phoenix was quite young.
Winehouse in the 27? What, Amy Winehouse?
Amy
Yes,
Winehouse?
she
I
was
think
yeah,
was
she's
27.
27. Shocking.
Just, you know.
It's young
Well,
from my perspective.
Yeah.
So
those people were never going to get killed by climate
they
boiling,
didn't
were
get
they?
killed
Yeah.
by climate
They were
boiling. They
Never going to
didn't.
make it that far.
Yeah, they
Maybe
got
that's
told.
why.
They
Maybe
got, but all of
thought,
them probably got told that it was an issue.
Yeah, and they
For
thought,
them, not so much.
don't fancy that.
Jesus lived in a hot country, but that was not the problem.
Wasn't an issue for him.
What was his problem?
Well, they crucified him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't really die. He came back to life, and then he said, I'm going back up to heaven now anyway. But I'm
I'm doing it on
came
my
back."
terms,
Yeah,
not yours.
Yeah, not yours. And I
think-
got holes in my hands.
Maybe they had train problems.
Yeah.
That's how he got pulled back.
Maybe that was where the idea for Margaret Thatcher came along.
Mm.
So, yeah, we've established that for people who are already dead, climate boiling isn't a problem.
It's not a problem.
Um,
What else could be a problem?
What else
What's going to get us before that?
What will get us before that? Right.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna say, because we'll get letters. People will say, "Are you denying climate boiling?" And I'll go, "No." But I think what I'm doing is I'm denying everything that surrounds it in terms of telling people about it.
Yeah.
I don't really think we need to be told about it. Like, for example, you've been told about climate boiling a lot, or climate change. They've turned it to boiling because change didn't scare you enough. So climate boiling's a new one. Don't talk about change anymore, right? You've been told about that, but you didn't know that they don't recycle. They only recycle 5% of your plastic, and you've been quietly going, I have to diligently recycle my plastic. That's what you sound like when you're talking about it, and
That's what we've been made to sound like,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
why I've
better
been just
do it.
ignoring
Yeah.
it for a while.
better
Like,
do the thing.
I wouldn't say that I'm climate denying, but I'm climate ignoring. I just, still feels. I feel pretty safe.
Climate.
But I feel that's because I don't look into it.
No. I think it's one of those occasions where they have made it so that ignorance is bliss. Because whenever people go walking on the roads really slowly, and people say to them, "Why are you doing this? This is just making me angry. Why are you doing it?" They go, "Well, we need to build awareness." And I'm like, "So you don't have a television?" Because it's the only thing they talk about. They talk about it all the time. It's the reason I don't watch television. So they just go on about it. They just say, "Oh, if you could get through a news bulletin," I don't know when the last time you watched the 6 o'clock news was, lasts for half an hour, and then they bring on the London stuff, if you're in London. If you're not in London, I don't know what they do. So 6 o'clock, 6:30, if they went through a day where they didn't mention the climate, something big happened that day. That was like when the Queen died. If on the day the Queen died, before she died, they were probably going, "Oh, what different climate story can we say today?" And they're like, "Oh, the Queen died. No climate stories today." And they'd be like, "Bitch," you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But in a typical day, you can't get through half an hour. And then you go to the London lot, and they're like, "Well, we'd like to talk about that too." So they talk about it in a small way.
Yeah.
They say, "Look at this grass. Look at there used to be grass here, and now it's concrete, and that's climate."
But like we touched on before, is the climate really boiling? Because it hasn't really been that hot.
No, it's
has it?
interesting.
So I think it's
September now. Whenever you get this, it'll be September.
September.
And it's kind of warmer now than it was like in July. July was awful. And if they came to me in the middle of July and they said, climate change, I'd say, well, changing for the worse. Changing in a depressing way, because I like summer,
Yeah.
you know.
And if they're changing it to sort of alarm, like boiling, I just instantly think of boiling water, and then I'm obviously thinking of pasta. I'm just getting hungry. If you're telling me climate boiling, I'm just getting peckish.
Tea time.
It's
not
tea
that
time.
scary, is it?
Use
Climate
more
boiling.
resources as well, because you go, right, I'm gonna start cooking, and you didn't need to.
Time to turn up the heat.
Yeah. You're snacking now, and you would have waited till dinner.
I would have.
And that's going to kill us first. Obesity.
Obesity.
That'll kill us before the climate does.
That's it. Won't kill me, because, you know, obviously I work pretty hard to stay in great shape. But obesity is going to kill a lot of people, isn't it? I would posit that obesity will be the death of more people than the climate for the next 100 years.
Certainly in America.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever been to America?
I have, yeah.
Right. Have you seen the adverts?
Yeah.
They're long.
The commercials? Have you seen them? They're all fast food joints.
Yeah.
Or drugs. Don't think I can say that.
Party.
Medicine.
Right? So that's what they are. Because what they do is they fatten people up, and then they sell the medicine for their fatness. So yeah, that's one thing. Fatness is going to kill. I don't want it to. This is not like, we're not going after people. I'm just saying what will happen. Okay, I'm not gleeful about that. I think you should be able to eat whatever you want, as much as you want. But unfortunately, your body does not allow you to do that.
You don't make the rules.
I don't make the rules. Your body makes the
Body makes
rules,
the
and your
rules,
body
yeah.
inflates, and then you can't move properly. Then you get ill and you die. That's
That's
nothing
science.
to do with
Yeah.
me. That's not my opinion doing that. Imagine if I had that power. Oh, my opinion makes it true. Be ridiculous.
Would you use it for good?
Mostly. What other ways can we die?
Road traffic accident.
Yeah.
Big one.
Yeah, big one.
That's not affecting that many people in one go. That's more just kind of like
Depends how big the vehicle is and how busy the road is.
Coaches.
Yeah.
Coach crash.
Coach on
Coach
coach.
crash.
yeah.
Coach on coach action. That is
Yeah.
a lot of people
on a bridge.
being taken out.
Yeah.
With more coaches below the bridge.
Yeah.
With a ferry below the bridge. The coach of the sea.
Lands on the ferry and it
Yeah.
explodes, and all the cars if it's a car ferry too,
There's a or a cruise ship.
sinks.
Yeah.
That's a big bridge though.
Well, I mean, the bigger the bridge, the bigger the disaster.
Yeah.
Do you think that more people, let's say by 2050, because we know that by 2050 they'll have solved climate change.
Obviously.
because they've said that they would. Because if they take enough carbon, if they take enough carbon out of the atmosphere, then the world knows to cool down again. Because that's the thing that what they've done, it's really clever, what they've done is they've bargained with the planet. They've talked to the Earth, like with a stethoscope on the ground or something, and they've said, if
like a planet whisperer.
If we do this, will you do that? And the Earth, she, because she is Gaia, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, has replied back in a woman's voice and said, I'll cool down, but you need to take some of that carbon out of the atmosphere, please. So that's the deal. We know what the deal is. We know that we're bargaining with the planet. They've told us what we have to do. Let's do that thing. And so by 2050 we will have done that thing because we know exactly what we have to do to solve the problem.
And there's an incentive because, diamonds are carbon as well. So you get more carbon out of the atmosphere,
diamonds.
you get more diamonds.
More diamonds.
You get more marriages, you get the population increasing, just repeat the cycle.
Absolutely. I mean, the only thing to say is that more diamonds will reduce the price.
That is true. But
which is a disincentive for people who already have shares.
And maybe it's just people that want, the bulk of people just want diamonds rather than the shares, I'd say.
I love a good diamond. And,
who doesn't?
And you know what they say? They are a girl's best friend.
And
so that's half of everybody really loves them.
Are they going to kill us though?
Diamonds, if you swallowed a big one, that would kill you.
Yeah.
But the point I was going to make is that if you get to 2050, we've solved the problem. But between now and 2050, which is less than 26 and a bit years now, do more people die of climate than road traffic accidents in the next 26 years? What do you think?
No, I'm going to say more people die on the road.
Right. Okay.
I would say so too.
Right.
Are many people dying from the climate right now?
Well, it depends who you talk to.
It's hard to measure. How do you work that out?
Because natural
how would they
disasters, they're blaming that on...
Is that
on the climate boiling? Or is that...
Here's the thing, right? So we've got to get into natural disasters now because we're talking about climate boiling specifically.
Okay.
But what about volcanoes? What about earthquakes? Yeah, that isn't the same as climate change, although it is a natural disaster. Okay, so you could be killed by that.
Yeah.
How many people every year are killed by volcanoes? Do we know?
Are they still going?
On that?
They're still going. Definitely people are still dying from volcanoes.
Earthquakes,
I just don't think it would
sure.
be anywhere near as much as road traffic accidents.
I reckon the bulk of people getting killed by volcanoes are the ones go into volcanoes. Go to a volcano, but go at your own risk. You may fall in.
Yeah.
But also get in your car, go at your own risk.
Yeah.
Planes, trains.
It's a dangerous place out there.
What about those fires in Greece? They were climate boiling, right?
Were they?
Were they?
Were they though? Because the
How did
problem
they start?
is, how did they start?
If I'd started that fire by accident, I think I'd want to blame something like climate change pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's going to kill some people.
I went to Greece in the year 2000. And in the year 2000, they did talk about global warming. It was a thing. I can tell you, in the year 2000 in Greece, it was dry. I went in the summer.
Yeah.
It was really dry. If I'd started a fire, there would have been a big fire.
Yeah.
Even then. I'm worried that somebody somewhere started a fire and it was dry because it's Greece. Because even if you go back to Alexander the Great, it wasn't like lush. It was like, well, it's pretty...
He wasn't walking around with an umbrella.
No. Rarely did it rain. Part of the problem, it's a problem for them because people would die of thirst, which doesn't happen so much now. But I wonder, do people die of thirst in today's world faster than they're dying from climate boiling?
Are they one and the same if they're dying from thirst?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you could say, climate boiling is why you don't have the water that you need to drink. Yeah,
that's how they get us, isn't it? Because it's covered by a wide range of
blurry lines, isn't it?
Not specific. Definite lack of specificity there.
Are there any other diseases? I mean, there's diseases. They're solving diseases all the time, aren't they? like they've got Alzheimer's almost sorted
I've got
out.
that backed into a corner, haven't they?
Yeah, which is really good, isn't it? Because then all those useless old people will like have value
Live for
again, won't they?
longer.
Yeah, but like
Be
they can
nice.
think. They'll just get like different jobs, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll just. I mean, not the ones now. It's kind of too late. But like someone my age, in 40 years, when they'd be old, someone like that, you'd be like fine because you're like, oh, I can't catch Alzheimer's anymore. But between now and then, yeah, how many people's that gonna kill, right? Versus climate boiling. If you go to somebody who's got Alzheimer's, oh, you're worried about climate boiling?
What's that? They'd say probably.
What's that? You'd explain to them, and they'd be like, wait, who are you?
They need you to
Yeah.
go around to the beginning
Yeah.
again and
Yeah.
just, yeah.
You'd be
By the time
explaining
you'd
about it.
finished, you'd need to.
Even the most ardent climate boiler would probably have to surrender and submit to,
They'd admit defeat after a
They'd
while,
go,
wouldn't they?
okay, that I don't need to win this heart and mind because there's no point. What else? So many
Fights.
ways. Fights,
Yeah, another World War III.
violence,
Violence.
Nuclear
war.
nuclear war.
Big one. Biggest,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
Biggest.
gosh.
That'd
Yeah.
be it, wouldn't it?
Who gives a toss? Who gives a toss about the climate then?
No.
It's going to change the climate, I think. An all-out nuclear war is going to change. Really, you'd say, okay, I think the game has
Quite
changed
cloudy
now
afterwards, I imagine, for a long time.
for a long time. Very dark.
Yeah, people complaining about the summer we just had. I mean, wait until after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would suck. I mean, it'd be really. You probably wouldn't have another nice summer for the rest of your life,
No.
and the rest of your life wouldn't be many more summers either.
Radiation poisoning.
Yeah, two
The
or
balls would be
three.
all right though. Those balls have managed to.
Yeah, they
The balls
survive
would
the
take over
radiation
with the age
already.
of boar.
At that point, we might as well eat them because we've all.
We're radioactive,
We'll be
they're
fine.
radioactive, let's
We've
be
all-
radioactive together.
Yeah. That's it.
Well, we're one and the same then.
Violence, nuclear war, AI. Yeah, you've seen Terminator 2. Is AI going to kill
Robot
everybody?
wars.
Robot wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're dangerous, aren't they? You wouldn't want to be in there with them, with the like when they've got the
I
spinny
certainly
thing.
wouldn't. No.
No.
They all have like jagged edges.
Yeah, it's all sharp, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
Stay
one's got
away.
a flamethrower. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very risky, I think, for a TV show to have a flamethrower on a robot
Yeah.
because a lot could go. That could go wrong. I mean, you've got like kids in the audience. I think it's like there's only perspex, isn't it? So they didn't like splash out on glass.
No.
So there's perspex.
Which
Melt
could
the
melt.
melt
right?
the perspex, get through, burn the face of a child.
Yep. Then who's entertained, you know? Well, probably
I'd
still
probably
a
watch
lot
that.
of
I'd probably
people.
still watch
You'd
that.
That
have
would
to.
be.
You'd have to.
You'd need to.
And the fact that you have to means that they might try it because
Yeah.
they're desperate for ratings.
It came back for a bit, didn't it? And then it went away again.
Keep
I think
trying.
it's due. I think AI meets robot wars. I think that's what we've all been waiting for, to be
Flame.
honest.
You put a flamethrower in the hands of artificial intelligence, and you tell it go for ratings. First thing they'll do is burn through that perspex and melt a kid's face off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd have to, and it'd be so dispassionate about the whole thing.
Do you not think you'd be like, look what you made me do?
No,
I think
It
being
might
passionate
say-
about it, but being passionate about it would up the ratings
Yeah.
if it was really wanting
It
to
wouldn't
hurt
mean-
that
And
child.
I'd do it again
So,
afterwards.
yeah.
You might say something like that.
it wouldn't.
Yeah,
it
a cool
wouldn't mean-
catchphrase,
Yeah.
some little buzzwords to.
But burn you later.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
kind of cool
yeah, not
thing,
better than
like that.
smell you later. You remember when people used to say smell you
Smell
later?
you later,
Smell you
it's
later,
funny though,
burn
it's
you
good.
later.
Yeah.
So people would make the.
So we've got violence. We've
Mm-hmm.
got AI. AI. We could do it.
Yeah. Oh, easy.
Nuclear.
Because it all ties in. The AI could take control of the nukes
Yeah.
and just take it out of politicians' hands. Just
Yeah.
go, no, oh,
I do feel
Come straight
a lot less concerned about climate boiling.
Yeah,
having
as do I.
talked all
I
of
do
this.
too.
And
I feel a
that's-
lot more positive
More
about the
likely
whole
to get
thing.
glassed in a bar,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you
Yeah.
are.
We could have another pandemic.
specifically.
We. Oh, I
I
hope
tried to kill
Let's,
us off
I mean,
last
let's
time.
not,
We could.
but
that would be.
boredom,
that'd be
that's a
boring.
killer. Boredom,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boredom.
the real killer.
If we had another pandemic, the boredom would kill.
Before
Yeah.
the pandemic would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't catch the thing, but the boredom would
But the
take you
boredom
off.
would tip you over the edge.
They'd say, stay in your house because there might be a bad thing, and then you just go,
Oh God, not again.
I can't believe
Yeah,
we're doing this
give
again.
up.
Yeah.
2 years of my life and now another bout of it. God, and that would be, and you could see people just saying, no, I'm not doing that again. Nope,
even the
not
thought
doing
of climate boiling wouldn't even be interesting. You'd be like, no, don't
No.
want to
Just
wait
fall
around
asleep
for
and
it.
you wouldn't wake up again.
Bored.
So, in summary, I think we have shown anybody watching this that there's way more stuff to be worried about than climate boiling. I'm not saying it isn't happening. Well, I'm not sure about the boiling part. And change, I mean, it was never static, was it? But anyway, we've done, as I said, we've done the deal with the Earth. We spoke to the Earth. Somebody did, I'm sure they did. I didn't do it, but somebody somewhere, stethoscope to the ground, said, "Oh, if we take some of the carbon out of the atmosphere, you'll cool down, will you?" "Yes," she said in her female voice. And so we know that's a done deal. So we just got to get there by 2050, and there's nothing to worry about. But so many ways to die between now and then. If you've been affected by any of the things that we talked about, please say in the comments, and it'd just be a nice icebreaker, wouldn't it? All right, another little break for you now, and we'll be back for part 4 shortly.
On VP6 News Tonight, we talked to Bob, politician, about impartiality in the media and what we can do to stop it. Next!
Hey, we're back for the final part. A little bit philosophical. Some of you will have watched the Malcolm's Moments, Malcolm's most recent video, from all the tapes that I have. We're slowly kind of compiling an archive of Malcolm's sayings. So he was a lovely man, very, very set in his ways. I didn't know the thing about Amsterdam. He'd never told me about that. Probably didn't imagine he probably would have wanted me to edit that out. But he's not here, so he's going to have to put up with it. He did say it. Okay, he did say that. So, but in the piece that I will link to, maybe I'll link to it now. I'll use a cunning way to link to it now, not even in the description. It will get linked about now. He spoke about the idea that we shouldn't be ashamed of anything that we do because nobody cares about what we're doing. And that, when I think of, not necessarily myself, but when I think of other people, I think, God, that's got to be true. Because really, most people don't do anything really that spectacularly interesting. Yet they still worry. They still go, oh, what will people think? What will people think of me if I do this thing? And I agree with Malcolm. I'm here to tell them, nobody will think anything because no one is interested in you.
Well, we felt that a lot, didn't we, when we were making the films initially, because we'd set out, with bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, going, "Oh yeah, we're gonna make films that are gonna be seen in cinemas all over the world," and they got seen on DVD, mainly in East Asia. Yeah. And there was,
and they changed all the words, of course.
Yeah.
But it was my shots. It was my video.
It was, but there was some shame surrounding that initially, right? For both of us.
I was ashamed of them. I was ashamed of what they did to my wonderful script, where they destroyed my script.
Is that how shame works? Can you be ashamed on there? Or you can be like, shame on you. You were putting shame on someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a difficult one. Shame isn't really, like, I've had it explained to me.
Yeah.
Like, people have said, like, over the years, and I've said, what exactly is that? And people have said, well, it's sort of like feeling bad for things that you did. And I'm like, I haven't done any bad things. And then they might list a few things that I'd done that they considered to be bad.
Yeah.
And I would say, that was all right.
Yeah,
But
they might reel
that
off
worked
like
out.
ways that you've treated former cast or crew or had to lay people off.
Yeah.
But sleepless nights, as far as you're concerned.
Well, sleep-filled nights. I mean, I didn't have a problem.
Oh, right,
Is it the same as regret? Like, do you ever regret anything?
I've learned that it's far worse to regret things you didn't do.
That's nice.
Where you go, oh, I could have been a bit harder about that. I should have pushed harder for the thing that I wanted, and I'm annoyed that I acquiesced in some way. I'm annoyed about that compromise that I made because the person I was compromising with, fundamentally foolish. So moments like that where I go, why did I do, you know, so
the less compromise, the less you're going to look back on yourself afterwards and be like, oh, why did I do
that?
Yeah, ego, never compromise.
Never compromise.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. So I regret compromising.
Okay.
My
Do
vision.
you feel shame about the times that you have compromised?
Well, I mean, it's like, what is the difference between regret and shame? Again,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I need it explaining to me, because this is something that you bump into people as you go through life, and they say, oh, I was ashamed of that. I wish I hadn't done that. And you go, why? Oh, well, I hurt that person when I did it. So?
That does sound more like regret than shame, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Shame sounds.
Oh, I shouldn't have done it.
It's a big word. Shame's like, you know.
Shame is like not liking yourself a little bit or something, isn't it? Or like
blame.
You
Blame
can feel
and shame.
shame and like
Blame
not
and
regret
shame.
doing
Shame,
something,
blame.
like still feel shame for it. Be like, oh, I did it. I feel a bit.
Yeah, kind of a
shameful, but
flippant.
I don't actually regret it because
Yeah,
I
kind of. I
like the outcome in the end or something.
I enhanced my position. That person I kicked in front of a bus, for example.
It's slightly shameful.
Kind of thing Malcolm did. I kicked them in front of a bus, but had I not, then...
When was this? Was this recently?
When did you do that?
No, this is hypothetical.
Okay.
So I kicked this person. I'm trying to. Having brought that up, I'm trying to think of ways where that would be okay.
They were about to steal your car or something. They were running to steal your car. If you hadn't kicked them in front of the bus, they would have stolen your car.
They would have stolen my car.
So you don't regret doing it, but you feel slightly.
How do you know they're about to
shameful.
steal your car if they're running? If they told you, if they just been like,
say?
They've
watch
stolen
out, mate,
keys
got your
or something.
keys.
Yeah.
They're trying to break
They
in.
get
They
your
got a
keys.
screwdriver.
Okay, yeah.
Right, they got a screwdriver. They're trying to break in. I'm like, oi, mate.
On the roadside.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
road. So that's where cars.
Yeah.
Generally.
And so they're trying to get in. I'm like, oh, don't do that. And they go, oh yeah, what are you going to do about it? Because they got a screwdriver. I'm going to say, yeah, well, we'll see about that. And we're just arguing back and forth. And I'm like, oh, it's a bus. Like that.
Have you ever stopped someone committing a crime before?
Have I stopped someone committing a crime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not like sort of like fraud or something, but just like an act of like.
Oddly enough,
petty
car
theft.
theft. Yeah, car theft.
Yeah.
And wasn't even my car.
Wow.
I didn't even really get like a reward.
Oh.
But no, I saw a guy. Where was this? This was in Derby. It's in Derby in about, I'd say about 2005. And it was so obvious what he was doing. Because he'd got like an old wire coat hanger.
Oh yeah.
And he was, trying to work it down in the windows.
Really?
One of those old. It was like a Ford Sierra.
Okay.
Like a late 80s one. It wasn't even like, why are you nicking that?
You don't even really see wire coat hang. If I saw someone with a wire coat hanging around the street, first thought that could pop into my head would be car theft.
Yeah.
It was quaint in 2005.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. So I'm seeing him do this and like
Yeah.
that, just fiddling. Oh wait, what are you doing? And that was enough to. He was like, just didn't want witnesses. He just ran away.
Was that an impulse thing, or did you see it? Think about, oh, should I say anything?
No, I knew what. Well, for one, there's a degree of like playing there because I knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
In a way, here's a degree of shame. I was slightly ashamed of why did I say, "What are you doing?" when I knew what he was doing. I should have gone, "You're stealing a car." Would have had the same effect, and it would have been more accurate. Would have been a better thing to say.
Would have maybe drawn attention.
You could have asked
quicker.
why he was stealing the car.
Hey, you! Why are you stealing that car?
Why are you doing this?
I don't want his life story.
Do we think he felt shamed for
Should've.
trying to steal the car.
They don't, though, do they?
No,
He would
they
have
don't.
the next opportunity he got, he'd be rattling the coat
Unless
hanger
you-
around in someone else's door.
Next
You'd-
street.
If you had asked him why are you doing that, he might stop and reflect and go, hold on, why am I doing this?
Put it this way: it's 2005. It's Derby. He's got a wire coat hanger, right? Okay.
Yeah.
This is somebody who lives by their own rules
Yeah.
and breaks the rules of man. You know, the doctrine of law. This is
And I can remember because you were saying like bits of you were visiting Derby on the reg at that point, weren't you? And you described it as lawless. That's what you came. You came back and you were like parts of
it's probably that time.
this county and
Derbyshire.
city
Mm-hmm.
lawless.
Yeah, it's probably that time was where I was most het up
Yeah.
about it because I can't think of other crimes I saw being committed there. So you're probably remembering me talking about not liking Derby because of that. So it's all
Specific
full
time.
circle, really. isn't
Specifically
it?
because of car theft.
Yeah, so it's ugly.
Yeah.
So
It's because it's the one thing that you leave outside of your house because you can't take that. You know, your car's outside of your house. It's stuck outside the house.
they used to
Can't
have
put it
garages.
inside.
In.
It's the one thing you keep outside, and it's at risk.
They used to have
That's a shame.
garages. Yeah, do you remember that? When they had
Garages.
garages.
Yeah.
Right, people used to put cars in garages, but they can't. They stopped building
No one
houses
has
that had them.
garages anymore, do they?
They just filled them up with rubbish,
Yeah.
you know, their own stuff, and you can't. Just
It
doesn't-
encouraged hoarders,
yeah, having a garage.
garages.
Yeah.
I think that's what it did to us as a nation. It
Wineries.
encouraged hoarding.
But then we also got a great TV show out of that.
We did.
The hoarding, yeah,
Secret
the
Life
hoarding
of a Hoarder?
show. Oh,
Oh, there's probably multiple.
probably loads.
secret hoarders yeah. I remember watching one about a guy who he just got really upset because he'd lost his dinner in the mess. It was
As they were filming.
yeah, they were just round there,
That's incredible.
and he hadn't cooked it yet. It was like
It was just-
like a shoulder of lamb.
Yeah.
That's why I remember it because it's such a specific thing. He was like, I can't believe he wasn't well.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've lost a shoulder of lamb. and
Has he just freshly cooked it and he put it
he
down
hadn't
and
cooked
he-
it yet.
He just
Oh.
bought
So he
it,
basically
put it
had- he
down.
It
bought
wasn't
it.
a plate of dinner.
That's going to start
Okay.
to smell, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be
Really
it'd
bad.
be worse in a way because it's
So what is he?
raw.
He's just because he's a hoarder, he's just going into his house and taking out his food from his shopping bag, I assume, and just sort of scattering.
I think if you're hoarding to a point where you're losing a leg of lamb in a living room,
Shoulder.
a shoulder of lamb, I apologise.
a bit less.
That is when you should feel shame. I think that person is entitled to any shame that they feel about that scenario.
Do you think they care? Because no one else
They've gone
is
on
in
the
their
TV
story.
show.
They're kind
This
of
is
just
this is getting back to the point.
back to the point.
He
He doesn't care.
Clever. He doesn't care because he knows that no one else cares. And the only thing that he has to suggest that they do is they're making a documentary about his hoarding.
But
where
not
he
because they
loses
care
food.
about him.
No,
No.
they're doing it for ratings.
Yeah.
So they're going, this guy's weird.
Yeah.
People like you like watching weird things. Okay. And this guy's weird. Let's film what he does. And you can imagine in the editing suite, the producer, when they got that footage back of him losing a shoulder of lamb, they'd have gone, this is fantastic. Leave this in. And somebody,
Gold.
some poor little scrote who doesn't understand the entertainment industry would be
They'd be like, leave him alone.
That's a bit. It's kind of sad though, isn't it? Should we be showing that?
Just a shoulder of lamb.
And everybody would just look at them like, you've got.
You don't
a
understand.
lot
We've
to
got
learn.
gold dust on our hands now with this lost.
You've
this
got a
lost
lot
shoulder.
to learn.
Yeah,
They would say, let's say they had a producer with remarkable insight.
let's say that.
That producer would say, this is the kind of thing that in 20 years they'll be talking about in podcasts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They could have made a spin-off show
You idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
purely about lost shoulders.
I remembered it.
They'll both be listening to this together or watching it, and one will text the other and be like, "And you wanted to leave this on the cutting room floor, did you?"
Yeah.
But
Foolish.
by this point, the guy who suggested, I'm assuming it's a guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
The guy who suggested leaving it on the cutting room floor will be
Yeah.
jaded because it's 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be like, yeah, I was a fool. I was a fool back
Regrets.
then.
And would he be filled with regret and shame for for what he would call then?
Yeah,
You know,
marginally.
I think so.
Marginally.
I think just if you
Maybe
don't
He
stand,
could comment maybe if he's listening.
yeah, if you don't stand by anything, you can't have anything to feel regret or lack of concrete decisions. People have really got on at me about that over the years, but actually, that's meant for a surprising lack of shame or regret because everything's always in flux. So
Do you know how most decisions don't matter?
yeah,
This is another one. This is gold. This is gold. Think of all of the videos on YouTube that tell you like one interesting thing every year, and what we've done about 3 and 5 minutes. Here's another one. Decisions don't matter. Almost all of the decisions that you make don't matter. Okay, right? Because you can't possibly know the outcome. You don't know what the outcome is to them. So you know, if it's something, it was like really obvious. Like, well, do you want to jump off that cliff or have dinner? That's quite easy. Okay, have dinner. Okay, just in case you're not. But if it's anything like, well, should I walk over there or over there? You know, like small things that just kind of make up the day. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. People agonise over, should I do this thing?
just follow
Should
your
I do that
instinct.
thing?
I think that's what especially when you're creative, you get told that, and it's true. Follow your gut, follow your instinct, because for most people, cliff or dinner, it's not a thought because the instinct is dinner.
Yeah.
And when the instinct's cliff, it's maybe time anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You've still got, I mean, unless you live by the sea, it's probably quite a long drive to maybe rethink it as well.
Yeah,
You've got plenty of
contemplate.
opportunities. So, yeah, I mean, this is decisions that you make really are not that important. You sit there and you agonise. I'm talking to you. You sit there and you agonise about these things. Should I do this thing? What will people think of me if I do it? What will happen? Nobody's thinking about you, okay? And the point Malcolm made in his recording was, on the rare occasion where you come across somebody who says, "Ooh, I don't like that thing you did," you go, "Okay, bye." And then they go, "Ooh, not happy." "Okay, bye." Right? They walk off. 5 minutes later, 3 minutes, 2, they're thinking of dinner or, what's happening in the cricket? Something like that. They're not thinking about the thing that you did that offended them.
And within the same 3 minutes, you could run into 5, 10, 20 people who really like what you've
I
done.
love that thing you did. You're like, right, that's that guy crossed out, who's already forgotten anyway. Don't let people stop you doing things. Yeah, unless they're so bad. But if they were really bad, then you probably don't know the difference and can't be saved.
Yeah.
Right? So it all comes full circle. Don't be ashamed of things. Don't worry about decisions that you take. Just carry on. Keep doing things. If somebody tries to stop you, ignore them. Go. Keep going. Keep going. Avoid cliffs.
Avoid cliffs. I just don't really care what people think. I think it's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
No one really cares enough.
No.
It's like being in the gym, isn't it? I always worry that people are watching what I'm doing. Actually,
Are they not?
everyone's a bit self-obsessed, aren't they? Everyone's worried about what they're doing in their own mirror.
Have you ever been watched in the gym?
I don't know. I've been too obsessed with what I'm doing.
It's interesting.
Probably.
I think I get watched in the gym.
Why?
Do people watch you though? Do they really watch you though?
Yes, I think-
They glance for a second and then get back to their own thing.
I think they're surprised by how strong I am.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
Because I think they look at me and they go, well, he's obviously athletic, but he's, quite slim build, and they go, Jesus, he can lift that. And that.
What are you lifting? When they're
then you
thinking
get a
about what
crowd.
Do you
what
get
are you
crowds?
lifting?
Oh, well, you know that thing where you do this, yeah? That one where you pull the thing,
The lap pull down.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one.
right? That I'm probably doing like 80% of my own body weight. Yeah, when it goes back up, I get lifted off the chair. I don't think anyone else can do that.
And at this point, do you care what other people think?
I just don't want to be looked at, really.
Do
I
you
want
like
to
when
get on with my workout.
You don't like
Not-
it when they cheer at you and
Not
like,
a piece of
he's doing it again.
gets tiring,
Yeah.
Oh, he's bloody hell, mate. Yeah, a big meathead comes in, and you're lifting what he is, yeah, and he goes, "How are you doing that?" So, guess I'm better than you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
And even he's been positive.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Okay.
it's not like, if he was angry about it, I'd still say, bye. What's he going to do? Worst, actually, gym is a terrible place to have a fight. Very, very dangerous. Do you know what I would do?
Take it outside, first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's say you're locked in the gym with an assailant,
Okay.
right?
Head to the pool. That's what I do.
Do you think?
Lock
Yeah.
yourself in the... No, don't do that. I was going to say...
Get,
Fight
if,
in
you,
the
if,
pool?
you, if you're worried about the speed
Jump in
of
the
the
middle of the
aggressor,
pool.
get in the middle, and they're going to have to wait. That's going to slow them down. You're going to see.
And they
Start
couldn't kick you.
whirlpooling.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually not bad, but the chance of drowning is greatly heightened.
Yeah. No, I see that.
You don't have that in the normal part of the gym. I would use kettlebell, little one, like the 6 or the 8 kilogram,
Nice.
because you can swing that like a mother.
Mm-hmm.
All you need is one hit, job done.
Yep, you thought about that.
Yeah, that's what to
Yeah.
do. But don't get in a fight in the gym.
Don't
It's
get-
one of the worst places.
That's a
Full
good-
of weapons.
That's another life lesson.
Don't get in a fight in a gym.
So we're
So many
absolutely,
gyms. Don't care what
absolutely,
people think. Don't get in a fight in the gym.
absolutely
Stay
nailed
away
it.
from bridges.
Stay away from bridges. Have dinner.
Cliffs,
Mm.
The
Cliffs,
light.
cliffs and bridges. Well, gosh, so much advice. Don't worry, okay? Don't worry about things. You'll be fine. Just follow the advice set out here. Maybe watch this section. Well, watch the whole podcast, but watch this section of the podcast over and over again, just to remind yourself how to live. You don't need any other videos apart from maybe others that we make. That's the end. We only do 4 parts, and that's the end of the podcast. Will there be another podcast? Probably, because I don't mind doing them. Just don't really mind it at all. Certainly don't feel any shame. Do not feel shame
Why
for
would
it.
you?
I'd
Quality
need it.
entertainment.
I'd need it explained to me, even if you know. So, hope you enjoyed that. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. There's somebody who's going to come on in a minute to remind you to do that anyway, because it saves me a job. We'll see you on the other side. Yep. Bye.
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 Hi there. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm deliberately good looking in order that if nothing else, you get a happy ending. Are other channels that consider it? I don't think so, and yet you subscribe to them. We're always thinking about ways to bring you joy, so subscribe to us and see if I'm a liar. And if I am lying to you, well, at least I look good doing it.